You're about to eat. Maybe it's pasta, maybe rice, maybe just toast. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're already wondering if you should. What if that has never been the right question? Researchers at Weill Cornell found something most doctors have never told their patients. The exact same meal with the exact same carbs and calories can either send your blood sugar dangerously high or keep it nearly flat. The only difference is one thing that has nothing to do with what you eat. I'm Dr. Angela Wu, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what that one thing is and how to use it starting today. Stay with me because later in this video, I am going to show you something that costs almost nothing but works exactly like a prescription drug, costing over $500 a month. Here is what actually happens the moment you eat carbs, like bread, pasta, or rice. The second carbohydrates hit your mouth, your body releases an enzyme called alpha amylase, which is basically your body's carbohydrate breaking machine. It starts chopping those carbs into tiny sugar units almost immediately. By the time that food reaches your small intestine, those sugar units flood straight into your bloodstream within minutes. Now, your pancreas gets the signal. It releases a hormone called insulin, which acts like a key that unlocks your cells so they can absorb that sugar. In a healthy body, this process moves quickly and cleanly. But here is where things start going sideways for most people. When carbohydrates hit your bloodstream too fast, and this happens more often than you think, your blood sugar shoots up sharply. Researchers tracking healthy adults with continuous glucose monitors found that a standard meal of white bread or pasta can push blood sugar into the 140 to 180 milligrams per deciliter range within 45 minutes. To put that in perspective, anything above 140 is already considered a caution zone by most medical guidelines. And this is not just happening to people with diabetes. This is happening to tens of millions of people who eat breakfast every morning thinking they are completely fine. Before we go further, drop a comment below and tell me which carb you eat the most, whether it is rice, bread, or pasta. And if this is already starting to make sense of things you have wondered about for a while, subscribe to the channel so you never miss videos like this. Now, here is the part that truly stopped me when I first looked at this research. The spike itself is not even the biggest problem. What your body does in the hours after that spike is where the real damage begins. That spike your body just went through does not simply pass without consequence. Within 1 to 3 hours after a high carb meal, your blood sugar starts falling back down. But here is the problem. Your pancreas often overshoots the insulin it releases, pushing your blood sugar lower than where it started. Your brain, which runs entirely on glucose, suddenly finds itself running low on. That is when the fog rolls in. Your focus softens, your energy drops, and that heavy, glazed feeling that hits you in the early afternoon is not laziness. It is your body paying the price for what happened at your last meal. And most people just reach for another snack, which starts the whole cycle again. But the short term crash is actually the least of the concern here. Researchers tracking non diabetic adults found that people with higher post meal blood sugar readings had a 26% greater risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those whose blood sugar stayed flatter after meals. Not diabetics. Everyday people with no diagnosis, no warning, no reason to think anything was wrong. Here is the number that should make everyone stop and pay attention. Right now, nearly 38% of American adults have prediabetes, and the majority of them have absolutely no idea. No symptoms, no diagnosis, just years of repeated blood sugar spikes quietly doing their work in the background. This is not a condition that only affects people who eat poorly or never exercise. It is happening across the board, and it builds slowly, silently, over time. Now, here is what genuinely surprised me about controlling blood sugar before eating carbs when I went through this research. The solution to controlling blood sugar spikes has nothing to do with eating fewer carbs, cutting out bread, or following any kind of restrictive diet. It comes down to something far simpler than that, and almost nobody is talking about it. Think about every piece of diet advice you have received over your lifetime. Eat less sugar, watch your carbs, switch to whole grains, and always choose brown rice over white. Every single message, for decades, has been built around one question: what should go on your plate? Nobody ever told you that the order things go into your mouth matters just as much. Researchers at Weill Cornell Medical College have called food sequence critically underdiscussed in mainstream health education, despite strong evidence that has existed for years. Dr. Alpana Shukla, one of the lead researchers at Weill Cornell, has noted that most patients, even those seeing specialists for blood sugar concerns, leave their appointments without ever being told that the order in which they eat their food can cut a post-meal glucose spike by more than half. Think about that for a moment. People go to a doctor for blood sugar concerns and leave without this information. And this is not a rare experience. It is the standard reality for most adults in this country. This is not about anyone hiding something deliberately. Mainstream dietary guidelines have always focused on food choices, macronutrient ratios, meaning how much protein, fat, and carbs a person eats, and portion sizes. The sequence of eating, the timing of movement around a meal, and the role of a simple pre meal habit were never built into the standard guidance. A 2020 review in Nutrition Reviews confirmed this, noting that dietary strategies have focused almost entirely on food substitution and portion control, with very little evidence based guidance ever offered on meal timing or order. That gap is precisely why most people are only hearing about this now. And what comes next is what should have been part of every nutrition conversation for the past 30 years. So, what is this thing that nobody built into the standard guidance? It is not a supplement, a diet plan, or a food you need to give up. It is simply the order in which you eat the food already on your plate. Here is what the research actually shows. A team at Weill Cornell Medical College ran a study where participants ate the exact same meal with the exact same ingredients, the exact same number of calories, and the exact same amount of carbohydrates. The only variable was the order in which they ate each part of that meal. When carbohydrates were eaten first, blood sugar spiked sharply. When vegetables and protein were eaten first and carbohydrates came last, the post meal glucose peak dropped by 54% on the very same food, the very same plate, with not a single calorie changed. Multiple randomized controlled trials from Japan confirmed this finding in separate study populations, showing a 38 to 50% reduction in the 2-hour glucose curve simply by changing the sequence of eating. And in real meal terms, that difference translates to blood sugar readings that are 20 to 30 milligrams per deciliter lower at their peak. That is not a minor adjustment. That is the difference between blood sugar landing in a safe range versus sitting in the caution zone for the next 2 hours. That is so, how does this work inside the body? When you eat non-starchy vegetables first, the fiber in those vegetables forms a physical layer in your small intestine that slows down how fast carbohydrates get absorbed later. When protein follows, it triggers the release of gut hormones called GLP-1 and CCK, which are natural signals that slow the rate at which your stomach empties. So by the time carbohydrates finally arrive, your digestive system is no longer a wide open door. It has become a controlled gate, releasing glucose into the bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. The sequence is vegetables first, then protein, then carbohydrates last. That is all it takes to change what happens inside your body after every single meal. If this is the kind of information you wish someone had shared with you years ago, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps more people find this video. Now, this one shift alone is powerful enough to make a real difference at every meal. But there are two more things that build directly on top of this. And when you combine all three, the results become even harder to ignore. The second thing builds directly on top of what food order starts, and it costs less than a single cup of coffee per month. It is vinegar, specifically the acetic acid inside it. And before you dismiss this as a wellness trend you have already heard about, stay with me for just a moment, because what the research shows here is genuinely difficult to believe until you see the mechanism behind it. Acetic acid, which is the active compound in vinegar, inhibits the exact same enzymes in your digestive system that a prescription diabetes drug called a carbose targets. That drug costs over $500 a month. The vinegar sitting in your kitchen costs pennies per dose and works through the same biological pathway, slowing the breakdown of carbohydrates in your small intestine before they can flood your bloodstream as glucose. Studies published in Diabetes Care and the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that taking 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar diluted in a glass of water 10 to 30 minutes before a carbohydrate heavy meal reduced the post meal glucose spike by 20 to 30% and lowered insulin release by around 20%. Dr. Carol Johnston at Arizona State University, who has been studying this mechanism for years, confirmed that the effect is acid specific, meaning it is the acetic acid doing the work, not just the liquid. Now, to be straightforward with you, this intervention produces its strongest results in people who already have some degree of insulin resistance. In fully metabolically healthy adults, the effect is present but more modest. Telling you that matters because accuracy is more useful to you than overpromising. What makes this powerful is that it layers directly on top of the food order strategy. Both are working at the same time through different pathways, one slowing digestion mechanically, the other slowing it chemically. The third thing requires zero preparation, zero ingredients, and only 10 minutes of your time. 10 minutes. No gym, no equipment, no elevated heart rate required. Just a walk. And the timing of it changes everything. A 2025 study published in Nature's Scientific Reports took healthy adults and split them into 3 groups after a meal. One group rested. One group walked for 10 minutes immediately after eating. The third group waited 30 minutes and then walked for 30 minutes. What the researchers found stopped a lot of people in the health world from assuming more is always better. The group that walked for just 10 minutes immediately after eating reduced their peak blood sugar by approximately 18 milligrams per deciliter compared to the group that rested. More surprising was that the group who waited 30 minutes and then walked for 3 times as long did not outperform the 10-minute group in controlling that peak spike. Starting immediately was what made the difference, not the duration. The reason comes down to something called GLUT4 receptors in your muscle cells. When your muscles move, they pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream to use as fuel, and they do this without needing insulin to make it happen. So while your digestive system is sending a wave of glucose into your blood after a meal, your muscles are simultaneously pulling it back out, which keeps the peak far lower than it would be if you were sitting still. This does not need to be a structured workout. A walk around the block, a loop around your house, even slow movement in your living room for 10 minutes counts. The threshold for this benefit is remarkably low. So now you have all 3 pieces. Food order changes the structure of the meal, vinegar slows the chemistry of digestion, and a short walk activates your muscles to handle the glucose that does arrive. What this looks like as a daily routine is exactly what comes next. Here is exactly what this looks like as a daily routine to prevent blood sugar spikes before eating carbs. You can start at your very next meal. About 10 to 30 minutes before you sit down to eat, mix 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar into a full glass of water and drink it. Apple cider vinegar works well, and so does plain white vinegar. The acetic acid needs time to reach your digestive system before the food does. Do not take it straight without diluting it, as the acidity can irritate your throat and tooth enamel over time. When your food is in front of you, eat your non-starchy vegetables first. Broccoli, spinach, cucumbers, peppers, salad greens, anything in that category goes first. Give it a few minutes, then move to your protein, whether that is chicken, fish, eggs, beans, or whatever you have on the plate. Your carbohydrates come last. The bread, the rice, the pasta, the potatoes, all of it moves to the end. Same plate, same meal, same amount of food, just a different order. Within 10 minutes of finishing your meal, get up and walk around the block, around your living room, anywhere that keeps you moving at a comfortable pace for 10 minutes. That window right after eating is when the walk does its most effective work, and the research is clear that starting immediately beats waiting. That is the full protocol. Three steps that work through three completely different biological pathways, and not one of them requires you to eat less, give up a food group, or follow a complicated plan. Remember that 38% of American adults are currently on the path toward diabetes without knowing it. The people in your life, the ones you eat meals with, the ones you care about, many of them are in that number. If this gave you something real today, share this video with one person who needs to hear it, not as a forward, but as something you genuinely think could help them. Now, what you eat before these habits matters just as much as the habits themselves. And if you want to know which 5 foods actively support how your body handles blood sugar and kidney function long term, that video is already waiting for you right now.